Hello, and welcome to
Papi Approved Movies.
My name is Papi.
And I'm Natalie.
On our podcast, we'll review and critique my favorite PG-13 movies.
Movies that I wasn't allowed to watch until I turned 13.
Every other week, Natalie and I will watch a new PG-13 movie.
And I'll see if Papi's movies live up to the hype.
Which of course they will.
Today we're going to be watching The Mummy.
Before we begin, there will be spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie and don't want it to be spoiled,
press pause and come back when you're finished. Now, Papi, tell me the deets on this movie.
What's going on, Natalie?
Good.
Good is going on.
See.
The Mummy came out in 1999 with a runtime of 2 hours and 4 minutes. It's not streaming anywhere. We had to borrow the DVD from your DOE set.
DOE set in the clutch again.
That's right. It's written by Stephen Sommers, Lloyd Fonvielle, and Kevin Jarre, and directed by Stephen Sommers. Main stars are Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, and John Hannah. Alright, this movie had 2 sequels and an animated TV show. Also had a spin-off franchise called The Scorpion King. I think that's one of the first major roles for The Rock. So what'd you think, Nat?
I hated it.
Oh, wow. You hated it? That's rough.
It was so boring. And all the characters were so stupid.
Boring and characters are stupid. Okay. What'd you rate it?
I gave it a 2 stars.
2 stars? Well, what else have you given the 2 stars?
Serenity.
Serenity got 2 stars. And what else got 2 stars? Anything else?
And Anchorman.
So Anchorman got 2 stars, Serenity got 2 stars, and The Mummy got 2 stars.
Yes.
That's too bad. Because this movie was pretty good. I actually quite enjoyed it watching it again. I haven't seen it in years. And I loved it. It was fun.
Why don't we get into the recap?
Okay. The movie begins in Thebes, 1290 BC. The pharaoh of the time is Seti I. His mistress, Anaxamun, was having an affair with his high priest Imhotep. The pharaoh finds out and he confronts them and they kill him. His guards come in and Anaxamun kills herself. And now Imhotep makes his escape. Imhotep recovers her body and tries to bring her back from the dead, but is caught and arrested. He is then mummified and buried in a secret location. If he's ever released, he'll become an invincible power of evil.
I don't understand why they would curse him to become an invincible power of evil. Why wouldn't they just let him rot there for eternity?
Because of that, they're just going to suffer all the time. So, they don't think about something that's going to happen 3,000 years later.
But why would they be like, let's just have a backup plan for this guy and make sure that he makes the world go and burn?
I guess if they want him to suffer a lot, then the upside is he might become this invincible power of evil. I don't know. I just think it is silly, right? They could have just killed him and then be done with it.
Yeah.
Or at least tortured him for a while and then be done with it.
Yeah.
But they did the most heinous crime to them while they're living and dead. And so they thought this was going to be like an eternity of torture and then never thought that he was going to be released or get out.
Yeah, but that's stupid. There's always one chance that he could be released. Why would you then curse the entire world with it?
I guess they didn't think anybody was going to catch him. I don't know. Fast forward to Egypt 1923, and Rick O'Connell is fighting with his garrison against the Magi, a secret organization entrusted to make sure that Imhotep is never found. Rick tries to hide, but his guide, Benny, closes the door on him. Rick realizes the area he's in is Hamunaptra, the city of the dead. Rick is surrounded by the Magi, and they let him go because they think he's not going to be able to survive the desert. 3 years later in Cairo, we meet Evelyn, a clumsy yet brilliant librarian. She can read and translate ancient Egyptian writings. She works for the owner of the Museum of Antiquities, Dr. Bey. Her brother Jonathan comes to visit with an ancient box he stole. She opens it and finds a map of Hamunaptra inside. She wants to go there, and he wants to go and find treasure. Dr. Bey tries to dissuade them from going to the city because he says it is cursed. What do you think of her so far?
I think she's kind of annoying.
You think she's annoying?
I also think that the part where the guy burns the map, I think that's useless because it didn't come into the story later. They had no problems now that the map was burned.
Right, well, because they figured out how to make it work without the map. Although later on the map gets burned completely.
Yeah.
And Jonathan almost goes back to get it. So O'Connell says he's the map. He knows how to get there, so that's why the map didn't play any importance into it.
Yeah, but I didn't think there was a necessity for the map to be burned here. Like, it felt like it was gonna lead into this story, and then it never did. Like, it was almost like a plot hole, but not really. Like, why would they put that?
Why would they create the map?
No, why would they have the guy burn the map?
To prove that he doesn't want them to go there. Like, he's so adamant about them not going there that he's going to burn that map. And the map tells them where they're going to go, whether they know how to get there or not. That's why they find out that it's for Hamunaptra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They are not deterred, and they go to the man Jonathan stole the box from. It's O'Connell, and he's imprisoned awaiting execution. O'Connell punches Jonathan and kisses Evelyn. He tells him that he can take them to Hamunaptra if they let him go, or get him set free. They convince the warden to let him go, but the warden's going to go too, and he's going to get a cut for what they find. The next day, Evelyn and Jonathan prepare to ride a boat down the river, and Rick and the warden join them. On the boat, we find a crew of Americans on the same mission, and their guide is none other than Benny. That guy's he's a weasel. The whole movie's a weasel.
Dun, dun, dun.
When O'Connell meets Benny, he throws him overboard. The Magi board the ship and they fight. Rick and the Americans hold their own, but their boat is torched and everyone has to swim ashore. Jonathan grabs the box on the way out. So yeah, in this scene, he goes back for the map as well.
Yeah.
And then O'Connell tells him, no, don't get it. I'm the map. You don't have to worry about it. You know, I like that scene because he just threw Benny overboard. Like,
yeah.
He was going to die. Or he was just going to be stranded somewhere.
He was just going to drown or something.
He was going to drown. He just didn't care. He hated Benny that much. So they must have been, other than him like kind of locking him out that one time, there must have been more history there. The next day, O'Connell and the crew get camels and their voyage to Hamunaptra begins.
Those camels looked very funny. Were they real camels?
Yeah, I don't know. They must be camels. I don't think they had CGI camels back in 1999.
I guess so, but they were always so silly. They were like, yum, yum, yum.
They are kind of cute. During the trip, O'Connell and Evelyn start to fall in love. After some time, they arrive at Hamunaptra. The Americans now have a crew of local workers and an expert of their own, Dr. Allen. At Hamunaptra, they all begin excavating. But they go their separate ways to find important artifacts. And they both find one thing. The Americans find a secret location which is booby-trapped, and 3 of their servants are killed. Right there, I would leave, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done. All
it's like these stupid Americans. Like, this is why I'm saying these characters are not the brightest. Like, what is wrong with them? And they were told to shoo, and then they didn't shoo.
But you believe in a curse?
Yes.
No. You believe like in a curse for reals?
Yeah. Well, half the guys were like, yeah, it's curses are real. I believe in them. Like, half of them believed in them. Wouldn't they just leave?
No. Like, if I was on a major discovery finding something that's never been found before and maybe a gigantic treasure trove, I wouldn't leave because of a pretend curse. I mean, it's a fictional movie, but in your mind, you wouldn't leave. I mean, I wouldn't leave. You would leave? You're like, I'm out. I don't trust this.
Yes, this is what happens in horror movies. Someone's like, it's not real. Let's just go into this creepy and sketchy abandoned hospital. And then they like get shot or killed brutally. But anyways.
Okay.
Then you're sitting and you're watching them and you're going, wow, these people are so stupid. Where is their sense of self-preservation?
Well, I think their sense of riches that they want to get is probably more important than their sense of self-preservation. But I don't know. I would like the money. Evelyn finds a sarcophagus and realizes that Jonathan's box is the key to open it. Inside, they find Imhotep. The warden dies when the scarab crawls into his brain, driving him crazy, and makes him run into a wall.
The scarabs are flesh-eating bugs.
But they weren't real. They just became real when he touched it. Or no, when it hit the sand or something, right?
No, it was like encased in glass. And then he dropped it and the glass broke and it crawled out. Right.
That night, the Magi come and attack the 2 crews. Ardeth, their leader, tells them that they are making a mistake. Eventually, the Magi leave. Evelyn gets drunk that night and passes out, almost kissing Rick. So two parts of that. First off, the Magi come, they fight them, and then they're like, you guys need to leave. And then they leave. Like, the Magi leave. Like,
yeah, wouldn't you, like, watch them and shoo them out completely?
Yeah, you to the death, right? You're a 3,000-year-old organization made to save humanity by not letting Imhotep come back to life. And then they're like, you guys should just don't mess around. And
Just please leave.
Just, turn off the lights when you go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they just let him go. And then she's in love with him, although I don't understand why. And tries to kiss him. And he's ready to kiss her, but then she passes out because she's drunk.
And also, I don't like this part either because he's ready to kiss her and she's like so completely drunk.
Right. He was ready. Yeah. The next day, the two crews go back to their digging sites. The Americans find a chest. On top of the chest, it says it's cursed, but they open it anyway. Which you would not have opened it.
No, that's
Benny left.
Stupid.
Benny took off. He said, I'm not having none of this. And
yeah, well, Benny is smart.
Inside, they find sacred jars with Imhotep's internal organs and the Book of the Dead. Dr. Allen can't open it because it needs Jonathan's key. That night, while Dr. Allen is sleeping, Evelyn steals the book and opens it. She begins to read it and revives Imhotep.
I don't understand why she read it aloud in a language that the guy couldn't understand.
What guy?
The guy.
Oh, no, he was sleeping too.
Oh, really?
I mean, he's like, oh, you're stealing. You're not supposed to.
Yeah.
But she wasn't reading for him because he was supposed to be sleeping or in bed.
And then if everyone's asleep, then why are you reading out loud? Just read it to yourself like a normal human being.
She's reading it to us, the audience. Don't you understand? Well, how boring would it be if you... Imagine someone reading a book to themselves on TV or in a movie. That'd be boring, don't you think?
Yeah, well, if you see like a movie and there's a scene of someone in their house reading a book, they're not reading aloud.
Yeah, they are.
No.
Next movie we watch that someone's reading, you're going to see they're reading it out loud.
Unless it's this movie.
Or they show you what he or she is reading.
Yeah, well, that's different.
Like when someone reads a text on the movie and they then go, blankety blank said this. Like they announce it. Otherwise the audience won't know what it says.
No, they don't.
I don't know. What I think is, so when she begins to read it, it revives Imhotep. She's supposed to be a genius, right? She's supposed to be super smart, like knows all these languages, a librarian. Her parents were like world-class adventurer, doctors of intelligence. And then she goes and reads the Book of the Dead. And
she reads it aloud, and it has like a lock and everything for a reason.
Well, Dr. Allen says, what? Don't. Like he wakes up, he realizes it. He says, don't read it. Like he knew that
don't read from the book.
Yeah, he knew there was going to be a negative consequence. Well, they painted her as smart as him, if not smarter than him. But she didn't know not to do that. And then it's also later, it's like, they mixed up the books. That's why the blah, 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 blah. Because there's like a gold book or whatever that is. The Book of Amun-Ra. Yeah, that apparently is like, does what this book does. And they like swapped. But I'm pretty sure that if the gold book was the Book of the Dead, then that means that the black book is the Book of Amun-Ra, right? No. Because they were swapped. No, they were just swapped in location. Oh, okay. Yeah, the Book of the Dead is the black one that we see, that she's reading right now. And the golden book is the Book of Amun-Ra. It's kind of like Book of Life, I guess. But she should know that's not the book that she's looking for, and it's called the Book of the Dead. Why are you reading it? I don't know why. Yeah. Anyways, okay, I'm still angry about her reading it out loud. If she was going to read it aloud to the audience, why wouldn't she read it aloud in English? What do you mean? She doesn't know. She's reading it in the language. She knows that language. Yeah, but why wouldn't... Or like translate it? Yeah, if she was going to be reading it aloud so that the audience could see it, wouldn't she read it aloud in English? Okay, maybe. You're right. Anyway, so Imhotep calls on locusts and both crews have to go back into the city. Inside, the scarabs attack the crew. And Imhotep starts to attack everyone and eventually takes the eyes and tongue of one of the Americans. How does he not die? Oh, I guess you can take someone's eyes. I'm not cutting his head off or anything like that. But their tongue? Yeah, I mean, it's just your tongue. I don't know, man. Yeah. Imhotep finds Evelyn and mistakes her for a Nox on the moon. Rick shoots Imhotep and they bounce. Benny's inside and Imhotep confronts him. He prays in Hebrew and Imhotep recognizes the language and Benny becomes his slave. He tells Benny that he needs those jars back. Benny's always the opportunist, right? Like, he's like, I want to not die. I'll do whatever. Yeah. Even if it means destroying the world, I'm on the side of evil if I have to be. Exactly. He has a sense of self-preservation better than all of them. Exactly. So Benny is your hero in this movie. He took off maybe... with a curse.
Well, I don't know. He doesn't really fear anyone.
Natalie's favorite character is Benny.com. The crew gets to the city and O'Connell wants to get away. Evelyn wants to stay and fix her mistake. Imhotep, in disguise, comes to the city and brings balls of fire with him. They're going after the 3 Americans and Dr. Allen, who has the Book of the Dead. Dr. Bay, who's a Magi, which we didn't know about, we find out right now, and Ardeth both join Rick and Evelyn. They tell them that Imhotep wants the Book of the Dead to raise Anaxanamun from the dead, and that he intends to sacrifice Evelyn to make that happen.
I don't understand the whole thing with Imhotep and Evelyn, because he sees her first and then like tries to kiss her and is like calls her by the wife's name.
Right.
And I was like, I wonder, does he think that she's her?
Yes.
And then I'm like, okay, what's that about? And then the rest of the movie, she's trying to get her to sacrifice. And I'm like, if you think that's your wife, why would you sacrifice her?
Well, in the beginning, he was more dead than alive. He just had like one of the jars or something. But then he starts becoming whole, and that's when he realizes that A, she's not Anaxanamun, and B, that he does need to sacrifice someone to bring Anaxanamun back.
And I also thought, I guess I was just guessing and then I was wrong. But I thought it was kind of weird because it felt like they set it up where she was like the ancient ancestor and that's why she needed to be like killed, because they talked maybe a few scenes before he came back to life about her mom is Egyptian and she's half Egyptian and all that. And then like they never do they like never talk about that.
Yeah, I don't think it was set up. I think that was you guys just jumping to a conclusion on something like that. I know you guys had mentioned that. Although maybe in the second and third movie it does come up. I don't know. Okay, back to the story. Evelyn figures out that the only way to defeat him is to find the Book of Amun-Ra. She figures out where it is, back in Hamunaptra. Imhotep is relentless and kills the remaining Americans and gets the book back from Dr. Allen. Imhotep is now invincible. Turns the entire village into mindless slaves, and they surround Rick, Evelyn, Jonathan, Ardeth, and Dr. Bay. Then Evelyn agrees to go with Imhotep if he spares her friends' lives. Imhotep agrees, but then attacks him anyways. Of course, he's not going to do it. He does whatever he wants. Dr. Bay sacrifices himself, and the rest of the crew escape through the sewers.
He's literally like a Walking Dead guy. Why would you ever trust him? And he's set to like destroy the entire universe, so...
No, I don't think he is. I think he's just going to rule it now.
Really? I thought he was set to destroy everything.
So it'll just be him and Anaxanamun left? No, I think he'll just make everybody his slaves, and then he'll live happily ever after.
I guess that makes more sense.
With his wife. Maybe he's the good guy.
He just wants to live happily ever after.
Yeah. O'Connell and the crew meet up with Winston, an old World War I pilot. They ask him for a ride to Hamunaptra, and Winston is delighted to fight one more battle. Fortunately, it's his last battle because he dies on the way.
He was just kind of thrown in there really quickly.
Yeah, they just needed a way to get to Hamunaptra as fast as Imhotep can as a tornado, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imhotep and Evelyn and Benny are also returning to Hamunaptra to revive Anaxanamun. Imhotep makes the plane crash, and everyone except for Winston survive. They walk the rest of the way. Evelyn has to distract them with a kiss, though, to make that happen. Do you like that?
No.
Rick and the team start looking for a Book of Amun-Ra, and Imhotep sends his undead priest after them. Imhotep gets Anaxanamun's body and places it next to Evelyn, who's chained down. The first part of the ceremony is complete, and Anaxanamun's spirit is inside her mummified body. Imhotep is about to kill Evelyn when Rick comes in and starts attacking the priests to set Evelyn free. Jonathan, now with the book, starts to read it, and he eventually raises the undead guards and takes control of them. He orders them to kill Anaxanamun. That's the other part. Why would he kill Anaxanamun?
I don't know.
Why not go after Imhotep, yeah.
Just kill everyone at this point.
Just kill everyone at this point. Anyway, they kill Anaxanamun. Meanwhile, O'Connell is getting beat up by Imhotep. Imhotep's about to kill him when Evelyn gets the book and reads another passage.
Also, Jonathan is like reading from the book earlier, and then like, how does he know how to read from the book? He wasn't like a scientist or anything.
His parents are the same. They studied together.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But like, they never showed him as like smart. He was always just that dumb guy walking around.
Well, he couldn't read it well, right? She had to help him. Even though she was, during that scene, she was fighting Anaxanamun. And he's like, what's a crow? I don't know what that word means. Like, he was very bad at it.
Oh.
But she helped him through it. But I guess they both studied at the same schools and universities and stuff like that.
I kind of forgot that he was having trouble reading it.
Yeah, he was struggling.
Because when you were describing it, it sounded like, oh, he's just speaking it perfectly. I'm like, this guy is too dumb for that.
No, it took him a while. Obviously, I didn't want to... How they keep fighting, and there's a lot of action in between when he's doing that. So, Evelyn reads the book, and when she does, Imhotep becomes mortal. He goes to attack Rick, and Rick kills him. Then
Yay!
Not the end yet. Then a booby trap begins to bring the city down on itself. The team escapes in time, but greedy Benny doesn't make it because he gets killed by scarabs.
And he's greedy because he was trying to take a bunch of gold.
He took a whole bunch and he went back for more. So that was kind of the dumb part. Jonathan, Evelyn, and Rick watch as the city crumbles.
Benny, no. Where's your sense of self-preservation?
And he lost it. Greed took over. Evelyn and O'Connell kiss and ride off in the camels. And we realize that Benny had filled those camels with gold. The end.
Poor camels, were they going to be carrying all, 4 bags of gold each?
Yeah, I don't know. Must have been a lot.
And gold is heavy.
Yeah, well, there's like a bunch of jewels, too. I don't know. They're strong. Camels are tough. All right, could this movie still be made today?
Probably.
Is there anything that you have in there that explains why it wouldn't be, or?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
I don't like how O'Connell tries to kiss her while she's drunk, but I'm pretty sure that would still be made today because no one really sees that as a problem.
All right, so yeah, I guess that would still be made today.
Yeah.
You know, we see that happen all the time where guys trying to kiss girls that are inebriated. What else? Anything else?
And then, when they're all riding the camels with the merkins, and then she gets in front, and then they're like, they're all idiots. They're led by a woman, and then it kind of ends up being true because then she curses the entire universe.
Yeah, but I mean, they didn't know that, right?
Yeah.
They didn't know she was going to do that when they said that. They were just being rude. Okay, and sexist, obviously. How about the scene where he kisses her without permission? Just goes and gives her a big smooch. Yeah,
that was dumb. And then the whole point where she's like, oh, that was amazing. No, what do you mean that's amazing? That's sexual assault. Go home.
You know, she was, obviously she thought he was so handsome and liked him. And he said, I'm sorry I kissed you. I just thought I was going to die. And then she's like, so you only did it because I was the last woman on earth? She felt bad about how he did that. Because she felt good that it happened originally because she thought it was about her being so pretty or whatever. And then it hurt her feelings when you realized it was just, well, you're the last woman I was ever going to see.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty dumb. Yeah.
That was a kind of dumb. And then, yeah, that's about it.
All right. Does it pass the Bechdel test?
No.
Let's go ahead and talk about it. The Bechdel test is a test to check for female representation in movies. There are 3 criteria. Criteria number 1 is, are there 2 named female characters or more?
There's Evelyn.
And?
I don't know any others.
A Knocked on the Moon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Passes number 1. Yay! Criteria number 2, do they talk to each other?
I'm not sure.
No, I don't think they talk
don't.
to each other. Yeah. So,
she's being sacrificed, and then a Knocked on the Moon is barely coming to life, and then this girl is barely starting to die.
Right. So they barely have any screen time together. All right. So it doesn't pass. So I read, and this is the worst. So then the next criteria is, do they talk to each other about anything other than a man? That they yell at each other and scream at each other and grunt at each other when they're fighting. Someone was trying to say that it passes because
they grunted.
Yeah, they were yelling at each other or grunting at each other when they're doing a fight, and I'm just like, who's trying to make this movie?
It's supposed to be a conversation, not grunts.
Yeah.
Did the movie producers hop on BechdelTest.com real quick and try to patch things up?
I guess.
What is going on?
Yeah, because when I read it on there, it said it passed 1 out of 3, and then someone with comments were like, well, there is a scene where they kind of grunt at each other and scream at each other. And you're like, really? Is that? And they're not talking about a man. I'm like, really? So I only passed 1 out of 3 criteria. So it's definitely not a passing score. All right. Anything else about this movie? Which we watched for Halloween. So Halloween is tomorrow when this movie comes out. So happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
Thank you for tuning in to Papi Approved Movies.
If you like this episode, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast app or like our podcast on YouTube.
We put out an episode every Monday.
If you want to see extra podcast content, follow our TikTok at Papi Approved Movies.
If you want to suggest a movie for us to watch and critique,
email us at papiapprovedmovies@gmail.com.
That's papiapprovedmovies@gmail.com. No spaces, no cap.
We'll try our best to get to your suggestion. And remember, it has to be PG-13.
Next week, Sophia will be back and we'll be watching Old School.
And I'll be back in 2 weeks to watch Star Trek.
I'm Papi.
And I'm Natalie.
See you next time.
Bye!